Hey guys, how's it going? Let me just turn down this music real quick, and let's actually turn that off. That's the wrong one. Okay, here we go. Hope everyone's doing all right. Nelfs, I saw you in the chat. Sam, how's it going? And Still Tree, good to see you all. So today, Langors, how's it going? I'm doing good. Hope you're doing all right as well. Today we're going to be working on a block editor. So I've started working on this, and it's debatable whether this is a valuable use of my time, but I'm enjoying it, and it's fun to just kind of get away from the game for a little bit. So yeah, I'll kind of talk about the rationale for why I'm doing this and everything, and then we'll kind of dive into it. But yeah, Hilbert Curve, how's it going? Good to see you. So I'm going to start off by just showing you guys what I got here. So we got this thing, and we've got an IM GUI window up here, and we can move around the scene and then start placing blocks into the scene. So, you know, it's basically like a little mini version of Minecraft within Minecraft, except it only exists inside of this little space, right? I cannot place these blocks outside of this 16 by 16 by 16 area. So what is the rationale behind all of this? Why am I doing this? Well, the reason is because I was thinking about textures and how I was going to do texture painting in Blender and then exporting that into the game. And so this is Nelfs, this is going to be like a block editor. So you'll be able to design block types. Like if I increase this to like 4, I could go ahead and like design a fence block inside of this editor, and then we'll be able to like export this and then just like import it into the game. I want to build like some cool viewing stuff and all that, and so that you could actually see like what it'll look like in the game. But this is like the basic purpose. So yeah, but why not just do this in Blender, right? Why am I doing it like this? And it's because, like I said, texture paint. So I started thinking about how I'm going to do texture paint in Blender, and I was like, okay, well, the typical way you do texture paint is you unwrap the model and then you create a texture and then you start painting onto it. Well, there's a couple problems with that. First of all, when you start painting, it's not going to be pixelated paint because, you know, Blender, you can do pixelated paint where you just create a texture that's like 4 colors and then you just sort of unwrap the UVs and then place them there and everything. And that's cool. But it just didn't feel like it was going to import into the game very well. And I was like, it'd be so much easier if I just have like some sort of custom editor that like literally I can export it in exactly the format that I want and then have it imported in exactly the format that I want and everything, and not have to worry about any of that stuff. Aren't there other tools that do this kind of work? Probably, but I think they're all for Minecraft. So, and it's not going to export to the format that I want. So like if I build this, then I'm going to be able to export it exactly to my specifications, you know, get all the details that I need. And then if I ever need to add more details, I can just add them in this exporter, re-export everything, re-import everything. That's it. So that's like the motivation behind this. And why 16 by 16 by 16? Well, me and my brothers were talking about it. We looked at 32 by 32 by 32. That was very big. So we were like 16 by 16 by 16 should be big enough for most of our purposes. And one good way to kind of test that is like if you were to build a circle in here, you could build a pretty circular circle, which is good. And then the reason it's 16 by 16 by 16 is because I can encode all these bits, right? So if we think about it, I'm no longer going to have a texture file. Excuse me. Texture file that contains all the vertices, because if we count, right, there's 1, 2, if I'm counting like these little edges, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I count all the way, there's 17 vertices total here, right? So that means there's 17 possible spaces. So if we go, open up a calculator real quick. If we do 17 times 17 times 17, that's 4,913. Well, how many bits is that? Well, we know that 2 to the power of 8 is 256, 512 is 9 bits, 1,024, 10, 11 is 2, 12. Okay, so 12 is 4,096 bits. So we need 13 bits to encode all this data, right? Because if we do 2 to the power of 13, that's 8,192 possible spaces. So what this means is if I can use 13 bits, then I can encode all this data and we're good. Still tree, an option for adjusting the number of voxels would be nice for higher quality models. Yeah, and so this is the main motivation that I'm trying to keep it to 16 by 16 by 16, because with this, we need 13 bits. And if we take a look over at, let's go to the drawing. So if we take a look at what our current Vertex specification looks like, I have 1, 2 bits here, and I've got 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. I think that should be 4 bits. So I've got around 27 bits, 28, 29, 29 bits to work with. And so like increasing the number, so even if we went to like a 32 by 32 by 32, that's a lot more bits. That's I think that's 16 bits, right? 2 to the power 16. Yeah. So let's see, 2 to the power 15. Could we do it there? Yeah, so we would need 16 bits. Like 2 to the power 15 is 32,768, and we'd technically need 33 by 33 by 33. So we would need that full 2 to the power 16. So like we could, but since I've only got 29 bits left to work with, and I'm also going to have to encode the UVs in here somehow, it's something that I'm kind of like, the cost benefit to me, I think 16 by 16 by 16 is probably going to be the best kind of what do you call it? Like pros, cons, you know, the best compromise. That's the word I'm looking for. So yeah. Oh, and I never switch back. Let's go back to this screen. Here we go. So now you can see what I'm doing. So yeah. Yeah. Maybe we'll consider an option for like a higher number of voxels and stuff in the future. We'll check and see. So integrating the game or separate app. This is separate app. It's using the same engine and everything. So a lot of this stuff I did not have to recode from scratch. It's mostly, I added IMGUI here too, just for this. I don't want IMGUI in the main game because the game isn't supposed to be an editor. And I kind of wanted to keep that separation just because I like having like this separated, you know? So basically my thoughts are you can have this open on one screen if you have multiple monitors, or even just like have this open down here. And then if you have the game running over here, then you can like be doing stuff here, hit export, and then the game will automatically detect it and then re-import it, re-upload all that stuff. And then you can have that kind of feedback. Whereas if you were in the game, kind of have to like, you know, export, go load a level, do all that, you know? So this is kind of like a little bit more instant feedback, I feel like. But I'm open to, you know, if the people think this shouldn't be, you know, should be in the main game. But I could see benefits for both. But yeah. So what have I got done so far? And right here I have this FPS counter. And this FPS counter is going based off of a new method that I did. You'll notice it doesn't change sporadically. There's two reasons for that. So this is, I have IFPS and FPS. IFPS is the instantaneous FPS. So you'll see that this bounces between like 30, 60, 58, blah, blah, blah. Wow, this one just goes between 58 and 61 FPS kind of consistently. This FPS counter is going, and it's basically just like keeping track of the past 244 frame times and counting how many of those frames it took to get to 1 second. So this is like actual FPS. This is actual frames per second. How many frames will we fit into the last second? Whereas this is just 1 over the last delta time. So this is like actual FPS. This is just kind of like instantaneous FPS, which is why I've denoted both of them. Why do I have both of them up there? Let's close this real quick and then relaunch it. I have both of them here because we're tanking it. So if I go back here and then go all the way up to 16, let's go ahead and place this into the center. If I can do that. There we go. And it looks like I missed some. But even though I missed some, you can still see I'm going all the way down to 30 FPS. That's not good. Why am I tanking my FPS so bad? This isn't that much, right? This is like pretty small. And the reason is because I am just doing 4,000 draw calls there instead of doing any sort of instancing or whatnot. Yeah, if we look at it. So basically I just have all this and then we literally just do as many draw calls as there are cubes, which is not the best. So first step, I think either we're going to do instancing or we're going to build like a mesher. And then that way we have the block like kind of like a chunk mesher, basically what we have in the game. And I think that might be beneficial for several reasons, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Another thing, another benefit to this. Why is this more beneficial than just using Blender 2? Another reason this is beneficial is because if I create some sort of block that's like this, I can now do something which is calculate the ambient occlusion values for every single vertex within the model. And one of the big problems we have in the game, if we load that up real quick, that I've been thinking about how to solve, and I just don't really have a very good solution, and it's kind of been bugging me, is how do we get the ambient occlusion in block level details? It just, I'm kind of interpolating, which doesn't work very well, because then if you get vertices that are in the center of the block, it's going to be black because it can't tell what the ambient occlusion should be. And that ambient occlusion is still incorrect because it's calculating it based on the other blocks, not based on the vertices within the block itself. So we're going to load up the game, take a look at what I'm talking about, and then why I think this external editor is going to be a solution for us. Why not both? Blender and this? Well, we will use Blender for like character models and stuff. This is just going to be for block types and everything and for creating those. Because for characters and animations and skeletal things, that's all definitely going to be much better suited for actual Blender. Tree, instancing seems right, but you have a mesher already done in the game. Exactly. I kind of wanted to do the instancing just to see like the performance benefit. Oh, you mean instancing and mesher? Well, we're going to have the mesher no matter what. So that is true. So if I do instancing, we still will have to do the mesher because I have to export it. But instancing, I was kind of interested just to see what the performance improvement would be, just so we could take a look at that. So, and it should be quick, like 10, 15 minutes. Instancing isn't that bad. So it'll be cool to kind of like do it and then see the performance improvements just in case you're curious. Man, my throat is like, I guess I haven't talked in a long time. It keeps going out on me. Okay, so let's see what I'm talking about. So you see this black spot in the middle? Why is that black? It's black because I'm interpolating these values, and so it doesn't quite, since this is right in the center of the block, it can't tell where it should be calculating the ambient occlusion from. Because normally what it would do is it would look over here. Whoa, that is not good too. So this is another reason we need this ambient occlusion, because apparently this stuff is way broken. Don't know why that's the case. Wow. Something is very broken. That's not bad. That's bad. Huh. I'm guessing it's trying to occlude faces and it's breaking horribly. But yeah, so that'll be fixed once we stop doing whatever we're doing here. But with the ambient occlusion, basically what we do is like, you see how this vertex is darker? And the reason it's darker is because it's looking at this block and this block and this block. Well, if you have a vertex in the middle of a block and it's looking at this block and this block, and it doesn't make much sense, because what it should be looking at is like the interior of itself. And that's really hard to do if you don't have them as voxels in the Blender model. It just doesn't work very well. So if I actually have like a block editor, I can embed the ambient occlusion within the vertex value. Don't have to calculate that now, unless it's like an edge vertex, like one of these, because then in that case, we do want to actually use the block surrounding it. But if it's not, then I can actually calculate it within the block itself, which is pretty cool. So there may be some complications around that, but we'll see. And trying to think, because like if we have these vertices that are all on the edge, we'd probably want to use like a combination of like this block and itself. Nah, I think we just use the blocks around it. It would just be like that and that. Yeah, see, I think it's trying to occlude faces there, and it's just like killing itself. But yeah, so we'll talk about that more once we get to it. Let's just actually do the instancing real quick, and then we'll do an exporter, which will involve a mesher, so we might switch to meshing afterwards anyways. Yeah. Langors. Are these log stairs or the textures broken? I think it's the face culling that's broken. That's another thing we'll solve in this too, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Langors, also, if you want ambient occlusion, why not reduce the game to voxel and divide the world by 16? That's essentially what I am doing here, but if I were to... There's like plenty of improvements that we can make by having it like these sub-voxel type things, right? Because if I go and I place some blocks here, what should this be? Should this be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 individual cubes meshed into one thing? Or should this be one rectangle, like one rectangular prism? And if we have like an exporter, we can do this offline, which is kind of like greedy meshing, except it's not, because we're also going to paint textures onto here. So this is the other thing, right? Once we start painting textures onto here, if these are all different colors and we wanted these to be like individual voxels, then we can't use it. These would have to be unique vertices, right? If we weren't using textures at all, we couldn't really do that. And so that's a lot of vertices. But if we say, hey, this whole face is part of one texture, then we can group all those pixels together. And now we only have 4 vertices as opposed to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times 4, which would be 24 vertices. So compression is the biggest reason I'm not doing that. We can make a lot of improvements and stuff here. Yeah. Using textures. So that's the reason it's kind of like sub voxels and then regular cubes. Hilbert curve. When you place that piece of wood, the occlusion seemed to be red somehow. Yeah, there's the colored lights are kind of broken too. Yep. Sam has provided a fix for that. I just haven't had a time to take a look at that yet. So, okay, so let's do this with instancing real quick. So, how do we do instancing? We need to do GL draw instanced arrays or something like that. GL draw arrays. Let's see. GL. It'll probably list it down here. Let's see. Yeah, GL draw arrays instanced. I had that backwards. So, what does it take in? It takes in the mode, first, count, instance count, right? And that sees we can do triangles here like we usually do. First, which is the starting index in the enabled array. So this would be like our instanced model, whichever one that we're going to use. Count, how many indices. So that's all the same. And then instance count is the only new thing. That's how many instances we're going to be drawing. And then you can see they say it's basically the same as this, which is, this is exactly what I'm doing, right? I'm saying, if we look at the code, for draw call and draw calls, draw arrays. And they're saying this is equivalent to this, which is exactly what I'm doing. So we can change this and then make those uniforms instance attributes, and we should be good. So we'll take a look at all that in a minute, and it should take pretty short time. IX7I, good to see you. How much bit does a single vertex take? It takes up right now, I think they're 32 bits. Wait, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32. Okay, so we've got 3 sets of 32 bits. So 32, 64, 96 bits per vertex is the current size. And we may be able to compress some of that with this new technique. I'll have to see about that, because some of this stuff is going to get like removed and then swapped. So I'll have to see. Okay, so this is our goal. So basically what we'll be able to do, box riffs, not accounting for padding. Not sure what you mean by that. Here, if we go, I'll show you real quick. This is the current vertex definition. So it is just 96 bits for one vertex. It's just 3 sets of 32-bit integers. I do have some extra bits in here. So there's like 29 bits available, I think is what I counted. 29 or 30, because I think this should be 4. So there's around 30 bits available for me to use, which is why we can add this stuff. But yeah. Okay. So how do we transform this? Well, let's see. We basically just want to do this instead. GL draw arrays instanced, all that stuff. So our final thing is going to look very similar to this, right? We're going to use these 3 arguments as well. Same thing there. So we're going to do that, and then that gets rid of these guys. And then for instance count, it's just going to be our cube draw calls dot size. We have a problem though, which is our uniforms, right? So all the transforms being uploaded through a uniform, and so are the colors per face. So that's not very good, because what's going to happen when I do this is we're just going to get one single cube, because the uniforms will be the same. So what we can do is we can use instanced attributes. And if we look up GL attrib divisor, this is what we want to use, vertex attrib divisor, which basically transforms a vertex attribute into a instanced attribute, which means it's just once per instance. And so you can see index specifies the index, specifies the number of instances that will pass between the updates of the generic attribute at slot index. So what this means is if we set this to 2 and this to 1, that means for every model, it will take the next attribute in whatever array is bound to this vertex attribute. So if we say in my shader, instead of having these as uniforms now, what I can do is I can say this is layout, layout location equals 1. This is now going to be a vertex attribute, but for every instance, we will have a different projection. So we'll do that for all of these real quick and just transform all these. And the reason I have all the faces defined as attributes is because I'm doing this, which isn't the most performant, but since this isn't part of the actual game, I don't care. It's just an offline tool that will be used by me and my brothers and possibly whoever else wants to take a look at it. So performance is not my biggest concern here. It's just making it work and making it work, you know, and at least nice to use. So that's the plan. Okay, let's see. Almost done here. So now we're going to have to create some buffers, and what we can do is we can just have like a instanced buffer. Oh, hey, thanks for subscribing. War10CK1337. Good to see you. Why does this not play any sound for me is what I want to know. Like, my speakers definitely work, but I didn't hear the sound for some reason because Streamlabs is broken or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, Warlock. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. Thank you for the subscription. Okay, gotcha, Voxoros. Sam Check, you don't need to have all matrices instances. You can have just the model matrix instance. That's true. I could just multiply those pre going through this, but it's just offloading the work to a different place, because if I do that, then I'm just going to have to do a loop here, and then I guess we could. I don't know. War rocks. I'm trying to think if I want to do it, if I just want to pre-multiply all that stuff. We'll pre-multiply it. Okay. So let's just comment this stuff out. This is going to be U PVT is what I'll call it. I mean, I guess what is it? They typically call it what? Model view projection. They usually call it like MVP, right? So we'll call it that. And then this will take in U MVP. Okay. And we'll do it like that. And we'll just pre-multiply everything. Okay. So now we need to create the vertex attributes for this. So let's go up where we define our vertex attributes, which is up here. Okay, so we got vertex attribute 0. And I basically, the way you do instance attributes, I believe, is you do like similar stuff to what you would do for other things. This is going to be 16 floats because it's a matrix 4x4. So we can say that it's all like this. And what we're basically saying here is, hey, we'll have a buffer. We should actually bind a different buffer too. So we'll say glgen buffers 1, and then this will be our MVP buffer, and then we'll say bind buffer GL array buffer, and this will be our MVP buffer. Okay, so now what we're saying is this buffer is going to hold all of our, I believe this is how it works, right? Gabe, you cannot set the whole matrix in one attrib pointer. Can you not? You need to divide it by vec4. Can you not do vertex attrib pointer? Size specifies the number. Okay, must be 1, 2, 3, or 4. Gotcha. Okay, so in that case, this will be 4, and then we'll have 4 of these, which will be 8, 12, and 16. So does that mean that these locations, this will actually be 1, 2, 3 still? Oh, and I did that wrong. We only need 3 of them. So does that mean that will still be 1, 2, 3 since this is a mat4? Let me just Google that real quick. Mat4 layout location GLSL. How many slots? I don't know if that works. Layout qualifier. Yeah. Let's see. Binding points, image formats, explicit uniform location. So no, okay. Yeah, max count is 4. You changed the wrong indices. You need to change the pointer parameter. Oh, did I change that? Oh, you're right. I see what you're saying now. But yeah, but how do we bind all these to this location? So like these would all be 4, right? 4 floats for each. This would be 4 by 4, 16. Yeah, okay, we do need 4 of them here. All right, so 4 floats each. We have 4 arrays, but we can't bind them all to index 1, right? Let's see. GLSL mat4 bind to layout location. I don't know. Let's see what this says. How do we... Sam, you can have one mat4 and vertex attrib. You just need to set offset of each for vex. So if I do it like this, and I just do that's void that, and then this would be like size of float times 4, that's going to work. Oh, I just got a big giant wall of text. Let's paste this in real quick. Okay. Thank you, Sam and voxel riffs. This is why I wanted to do this, because I'm not as familiar with this stuff. So what we've got... Okay, yeah, this is basically what I was asking. It looks like you're doing as separate slots. Yeah. Okay, yeah. That's, yeah. So basically, these need to be like actual separate slots and stuff. I can't have this as 1. This has to be 1, 2, 3, 4. And then each of these is this, and then that would be 8, and that would be size of float times 12. And this should work, is what I'm assuming. And in shader layout, location equals 3 in mat4 instance matrix. So you can have this all as 1. Okay, I'm going to Google one more thing. GLSL mat4 as vertex attribute. Best followers. Oh, that's a bot or something. Okay, yeah, so he says get the attribute location, then he says +0, +1, +2, +3. Okay, yeah, so this is exactly what I'm asking about. Takes up 4 attribute locations, the one you bind and the 3 following. Okay, that's all I wanted to know. That should be good enough. So basically what that's saying is this will not only take up 1, but 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so this should be good. That's basically what I thought would happen, and I just wanted to make sure. Okay, so if we go ahead and do all that, and then we change this to 2, 3, 4. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that's right. Okay, cool. So that's what we need, and then I have the offsets 0, 4, 8, 12 for the floats, and then each of these is 16 floats big. Okay. So then we have what Sam was also talking about. I'm just going to do them all as one afterwards. GL enable vertex attrib array. 0, or actually I guess that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, there we go. So that's basically what we need. Okay, so once we have that, and then we also need to do a GL vertex attrib divisor. This is going to be index 1 and the divisor is 1. So that means per model we get 1 instance of this. Okay, so that's that. Now let's go ahead and do the easier stuff. So we'll do 5 is going to be our color buffer. And what I'm going to do is we're going to just stuff all the colors in the same buffer, and we'll do it that way. So we'll say color buffer. Bind the color buffer And for each color, we're going to have like 5, 6, 7, 8. We'll do all that. You need to set the divisor for all the location, not just the first. Oh, okay. So then in this case, I would do GL vertex attrib divisor. I assumed it would just be 0 for all of them, which is like the default value. I don't see anything here. I don't know. Okay, I'll set them all. But yes, 0 is the default. Okay, that's what I thought. So like I was like, let's do this. I'm just going to do this for now. I think if I leave this, it should just be 0, which is what I want, because this is like an actual vertex specification. And then these are attribute divisors. So for 5, that's going to be 1. Same with all of these. 6, 7, 8. And we go up to 10. So let's do that 2 more times. 9 and 10. And we got this too. So this will be 9 and 10. Okay, so and then our color buffers can be interleaved. It's just easier in my mind. So we'll say GL enable vertex attrib array. 5. Copy that. Paste, 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 paste. This is 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so we got all those. And then what we want to do now is each color is 4 floats. So size of float, how many do we have here? We've got 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So size of float times 6 times 4. Because I'm too lazy to do it in my head. That's 24, I guess, right? Cool. Okay, so there we go. That's all of that. And let's just change that. This will be 0. So that's that. 4, 8. Yeah, these are up by 4 each time. 16, 20. Cool. So that they'll be interleaved in the color buffer, which is fine with me because they are kind of like one attribute, which makes sense to me. So yep. You forgot the T2, 3, 4 divisors. Oh, you're saying I need... Okay, I see what you're saying now. Okay, so these all need to be set. That makes sense. Okay, so those are set so that our matrices are considered once per instance. Gotcha. Okay, so now we've got all that set up. That should be good. We just need to actually create our color buffers and our MVP buffer. And we actually want to allocate enough space. So we'll say GL buffer data, GL array buffer, size of MVP buffer, data. I don't know what to call that. MVP array. I don't know. MVP data. We'll call it that. And then we'll do MVP data.data, which is kind of gross, but whatever. And this is going to be dynamic draw because we're going to be changing that. So that's going to be for that one. We need to create that too. And then we also need it for our color buffer. This is going to be our color data and then our color data.data. Okay. So let's go ahead and create those. Those are going to be stood arrays, by the way. So we're going to have 2 more things here. Static uint32, MVP buffer, static MVP buffer, uint32 color buffer, and then we want we'll do it down here, static stood array. We want GLM vec4. This is for our colors. How many colors do we need? We need 16 by 16 by 16 for all the cubes, times 6 for all possible permutations, whatever. This is our color data. Okay. And then static stood array, GLM vec mat4, 16 by 16. I know this is extraordinarily wasteful too. Another reason that I'm doing this as a separate application entirely. I think that's all we need. This is our MVP data. And I really don't care because this is going to be an external application that's not going to be shipped as part of the game. So we can be wasteful and it's fine because I can make those assumptions, right? Okay, so we need 1 mat4 per block. We need 6 vec4s per block. So that should be all the data we'd ever need. Okay, so that should be MVP data. And I believe size of should give us the actual size of the cube. Yeah, and you can see here, this is a pro for Visual Studio over Sea Lion. Just kidding, Sam, don't get... So I'm pretty sure Sea Lion probably does this too. If you hover over it, it tells you can see the size is 262,144 bytes, which tells me that size of an array is actually giving me the size of the full array and not just the data type. And then that data will just give me a pointer to the beginning of the array. And this should work out fine. So we should be good here. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That all looks correct to me. Now we just need to make sure that we upload it. So instead of doing this now, we need to actually pre-multiply all these things. So we got all the transforms. We can do this for auto ref cube and cubes. Once again, I don't think I actually have to do auto ref because iterators should be small. So I think that's fine. But yeah, we don't want to upload these projection views because we're going to pre-multiply this stuff. So we'll say GLM, we'll say const GLM mat4 projection. Wait, you mean you don't hash F0 your entire program and just add one printf to inspect values? You are weird. I do when I'm working with JavaScript because JavaScript, that's all you can do. But equals camera controller get projection const glm mat4 ref view equals camera controller get view. Okay, so, and I believe those return, yeah, const ref. Cool. So we go through each cube, we get the transform, we translate by the cube's position and the cube's scale. Maybe we should be going through the draw calls. Yeah, the reason I separate it into draw calls, yeah, is because the highlighted cubes aren't actually part of the scene, so I wanted to make that separation. So that's why there's draw call and then there's cubes, two separate entities, because the cubes are actually physically part of the scene. The draw calls are just, they're not. If that makes sense. They're transient. They disappear every frame. So that's why, yeah. Anyways, we'll do mat4 MVP equals projection times view times transform. Okay, so that's our MVP. We've got that. We want to upload all these to our array now. So what we can say is MVP data I equals MVP. I guess we could just do that, right? Instead of doing that. And we need an index. Can I do stuff like that in C++? I think I can. I think there's a way, maybe not in my version, but I don't know. We'll do this for now. Okay. So we do that. Now we want to upload the colors. Okay, so then we say MVP data, or I guess color data. And then this would be I times 6 plus 0 equals draw call dot color. For now, I don't have the colors separated by face. They are all just the same color, but you can do separate colors per face, which is the whole reason for this. Okay, 2, 3, 4, 5. I believe that's it. We have 6. We've got 6. That's good. Cool. That should be it. So that fills out the buffers, and then we just want to buffer that data. So then we just say gl buffer sub data. GL array buffer offset is 0, size is size of GLM vec4 times 6 times how many cubes, which is our cube draw calls dot size. Oh, and I guess this is a good point. So technically we could have more draw calls than we do cubes. So I'll have to modify this just a bit. We'll do that in a minute. And then we'll say color data dot data. Okay, so that's uploading that. And then we want to upload mat4, and this should just be 64. Like I said, this should be 16. Okay, yeah, so that is true. Cool. So this is times cube draw calls.size, and this will be our, what's it called? MVP data.data. Okay, so then we buffer it, and then we just do one instanced call, and that's it. So just to be safe, because we could technically have double this, right? Because we could have 16 by 16 by 16 cubes and 16 by 16 by 16 highlighted stuff. So we do this. Now we're covered. We should never have like any buffer overruns or something like that. Okay, let's see if this works. My coffee's getting cold. It's always a sad day when that happens. This does not work. I messed up in the shader. Okay, can't apply layout to global variable. You left face color, you right face color, blah, blah, blah. Did I call those? I didn't say in, did I? Yeah, I should say in. That helps out. So in. And I know you can do like multi-lines. I just can't remember the stupid key combo for VS Code because it's different than Visual Studio for whatever reason. So I've never bothered to remember it, and I never will because it's going to confuse me when I go back into here. Okay, cool. So this is working. We're not getting any cubes though. I should be getting a cube. Oh wait, no. Okay, yeah, I'm not getting any cubes. We should be getting a cube where my cursor's highlighted. Am I doing something weird in the shader? We say MVP times vec4. Is my MVP incorrect? Scroll wheel in VS Code for multi-line editing. That's what I do. Same, I just bind it to the middle click. It is bound to the middle click, like I can do that, middle click. But that's annoying. I'd rather just use like, in VS Visual Studio, I can just do Shift Alt and then start using my keys so I don't have to move my hands. Yeah. And hi, Cozy White Bear. Good to see you. I like the emoji. You forgot to bind the buffer before writing. I forgot to bind the buffer before writing the data. Thank you, Sam. That helps me not go on a big tangent that I didn't need to go. Bind buffer. GL array buffer. And what buffer? This is our color buffer. Did I call it something else? Color buffer. This is our MVP buffer. Okay, cool. Thank you. Okay. Hey, look at that. Thank you, Sam. It looks like that is working. If I start placing stuff, still looks good. If I go up to 16, it looks like, okay, so the reason we're getting some kind of weird stuff here is because it's like trying to struggle against those blocks that were there, which is kind of messing it up. This isn't duplicating blocks, by the way. This is like still the same. Okay, so I'm kind of disappointed. It looks like I'm still dropping down to like, okay, there we go. It's not a consistent 60 FPS though. It doesn't look like that. Well, yeah, that's pretty smooth. No, it kind of drops. That's not, if I go full screen, does it get worse? A little bit. I wonder if the CPU is the bottleneck now from all those multiplications and stuff. And technically instancing isn't great for like small objects, but yeah, I don't know. That's just kind of disappointing because I was hoping this would be like big performance improvement. It's definitely improved the performance. It's just not as big as I would have hoped. So another thing that we've got is we don't have backface culling turned on. Let's see if that helps out too. I don't know. I wish there was a Dracula in key maps. Okay, let's see. Let's go and turn on cull face. Yeah. Well, okay, so the reason, why do I have it turned off here? I don't know. Let's turn that off real quick and see what happens. I think I have it turned off because I want it to be like double-sided faces, but maybe that's not the greatest. I don't know. Okay. Yeah, it looks like we're getting about the same performance. And it also, I think we are culling faces, but since all the blocks are like right up against each other, it doesn't help out much. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not that happy with that performance improvement. I was hoping it'd be like a massive change, but it looks like it's still either my controllers, that's not good. I think this is because we're culling the face and for some reason there's no back face. Weird. Let's do one block because now I'm curious. Am I messing something up here? Okay, if we do one block, what do we get? Yeah, it looks like, oh, those faces are just reversed, I guess. I just have the winding order wrong. If we were to go inside of them, yeah, they're still there. Just bad winding order. Okay, well, yeah. Not as great as a performance improvement that I would have hoped for. Sam, I think there's some wrong offset or something. It should not be that bad and do these glitches. I think that's because of the GL cull face. I'm not sure. Also, intersecting faces in same positions are slowing down. Yeah, okay, I could see that too. Going closer to the cube is dropping below 40. Sorry. CGO Clan, hey Gabe, any idea of stream something different except Crumble in the near future? I mean, I feel like this is different than Crumble. But possibly at some point we could do something different. So, I don't know. I cannot watch your streams much because my GPU is literally burnt just yesterday, and after I did DIY fix, I should probably not be doing. It's all good. I'll probably mostly be doing Crumble though because it's easy and I'm working on it and I enjoy it. So I'd rather spend my time doing this than other stuff. But maybe we will try other things at some point. I don't know. Do I plan to make a custom model format? Yep, that's the whole reason that we're doing this. Kind of already have that. It just gets transformed at runtime when the game loads. But this is just kind of making that explicit. Let's do that now. Well, okay. Let's do the painting first, because the painting's kind of interesting. How do we paint different faces? I've got an idea for it, and we're going to go ahead and just start coding, see if this idea works out. If not, yeah, we can try something different. So, if I place some blocks into the game, how do I go about painting these blocks? And I have this mode over here, paint color, and it's got a color picker here. What I want to do is we might have to add one other mode. Oh, and you also notice I need to stop. So like if I switch to this and then I click none, it places that block up there because I am consuming those events too. So I got to switch that off. But yeah, you can see I've got this thing. Basically what I want to be able to do is, you know, you just start clicking and you're painting faces. And maybe it highlights the face that you're over so that you can tell what you're about to paint, all that stuff. But let's do that first, right? That seems like an easy thing. The thing that I'm concerned about and that I want to add is I want to add one more mode in here, which is like face creator or something, right? Because we're missing one essential step, which you have in a 3D software, which is the unwrapping stuff, right? In 3D software, you know how to unwrap the model because you select the seams that you want to unwrap it on, and then it does all the unwrapping, all that stuff automatically. What my plan is to just be like, okay, you can just like start clicking. And so basically I just click these faces, and then it selects all of them, and then I click add face over here or something. And what that does is it combines all those faces into one texture. And then it combines all those vertices into one face. And we're going to do that to decide how to do faces and stuff. If that doesn't make sense, sorry. But hopefully it makes sense. Let's get to the painting faces. It should be pretty easy though. So basically to paint faces, what we need to do is we need to modify our cube a little bit to basically say, we've got one color. We want to say left face color, right face, bottom face, top face, back face, front face. So let's do that. Right face, back face, top face, bottom, and no. Okay, we need front, so let's move that up to back. Okay, back, front, top, bottom. Okay, left, right, back, front, bottom, top. I like having them ordered that way. Okay, so we've got all the different colors, and now we can use those. So you see here, we just say if cube is occupied, draw cube, and we just pass in one color. What we actually want to do is we want to modify this to be, oh, let's just add a separate static void draw colored cube. Okay, and then this will have const glm vec3 pose const glm. I have the scale here, but we don't really use the scale because the scale is set to default 1. Isn't it up here? Yeah, it's set to default 1. This is kind of useless. This is also kind of useless. Let's just remove this because there is no point in having that. So we can get rid of that, and we can get rid of that, and we can get rid of that. Okay, that's all we need because scale 1, you don't really need to do anything. Cool. That's simpler. And that also brought to mind, we actually do need colors here. So we're going to do that. And then default cube draw call thing is just going to set all the colors to the same thing. And then the second function is going to do something different. What's wrong here? Static void. Did I remove it from here? Draw cube, color. Draw cube, colors. Left color. And then we'll have like all of them. Right, and let's actually just do that. Let's do that, comma, that, right, top, bottom, back, front. Right, I know I could use an array or something too. I don't care too much about that. We're just doing simple, you know, keep it stupid simple. So let's switch that. Okay, so pose, left, right, bottom, top, back, front, and this will be our second one. This one will just set all those automatically, whatever. Let's go up here. Where did I have that draw call thing? Okay, here we go, yeah. So we're gonna have that, and then this will basically do the same thing as this. This will say left color, yeah, so we'll do all that. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right, back, front, bottom, top. Okay, and then here we can do basically the same thing that we did here, except we will say left, right, back, front, not fread, bottom, top. Okay, cool. Now we can draw different colors per cube face, which is what I want, or we can draw them as one color. Now we just say we need to affect this thing, right? So this, instead of just setting it to the highlight color mouse left, we're gonna just set all of them here. So this basically just sets it when you originally click stuff, back, front, bottom. Maybe I should talk about how this actually works too. Let me know, guys, are you interested in how like all the raycasting stuff and everything in there, how I'm projecting from the mouse coordinates to the world? If you're interested in how that's working, we can take a look at that because that was all custom and quite annoying to get working correct. But yeah. Yes, this is what we want. I think we're just about there. Okay, so now this, okay, here we go, yeah. So now we can actually do this. So we have left, right. Let's see what order these are in because we actually have to match the order. Left, right, top, bottom, front, back. left, right, top, bottom, front, back. Okay, so that's that. And then up here, I'm failing something. Okay, and then here we can just say, this is where we're actually drawing stuff. So then we just say left, what is that? Right, bottom, top, back, front. Okay, and then let's just make this a little bit more readable. Cool. So definitely not the most efficient, anything like that. It doesn't matter to me. All that matters is, does it work? Let's see. So this should be exactly the same. Nothing should have changed here. But it should give us the ability to start painting stuff. So we'll see. Okay. That's not what I meant to do. Yep. Looks right to me. Yeah, that looks good. Cool. So now let's add different colors. And you'll notice I have some simple shading there too. But yeah, let me check the chat real quick. Ooh, Joe Omega, bank account terminated. Ooh, that is not fun. Langors, yes. So you guys do want to take a look at the raycasting and stuff. We'll take a look at that in a minute, because I do think that's interesting, and we'll see about that. Okay. So now we need to switch to if we're in paint mode. So right, we've got this edit mode. So if we're in paint texture mode, what do we want to do? We want to do something a little bit different than this handle place block thing. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to create a function which is handle paint block. Okay, let's go up. That good, cool. And then inside of our update, we'll say, instead of this, we'll say switch main panel, get edit mode, okay, case, edit mode, paint. No, that's edit or place. Okay. We do that, break, case, edit mode, paint, handle, paint, break. Okay. So now we should be able to do that. This just draws all the cubes. We'll take a look at how all this is working in just a second. Do you paint blocks or faces? We're going to paint faces, but I'm calling it that just because it matches what we're doing. So this is like, the way we're going to do it is we're going to raycast. We're going to get all this stuff. We may have to take a look at brush size stuff. For now, I'm going to ignore it, but we might take a look at that in a second. How do we get the center of the block? We get the center. Yeah, center is kind of weird, but we can just do, well, actually, we don't need the center. Okay, so how do we, well, we kind of do. Okay, so that's the center. Let's do ivec3 block corner equals floor block center. So this is how we can convert a block into an index. So then what we can do is we can say int block index equals to 1D array block corner. That will convert it to an index into our cubes array. So this is just an array of 4096. Okay, so we can index into that array, all that stuff. And then what we're going to do is we have this ray direction. Let's have a function static. Well, we'll just do it in here. Okay, so we'll say if raycast dot normal, which is going to give us the hit normal of whatever we've hit, is close to, I mean, I don't want to do this. Let's do cmath compare glm vec3 1 0 0. Okay, so if our raycast normal is close to this, this means we are dealing with x positive, which in our case is front. So what we can say is we can say cubes block index dot front color equals, and then we'll say like draw color. which we can get by saying vec4 draw color equals main panel get block color. Okay, so we'll make that const. Cool, that's good. We also need to say if Raycast dot hit block or Raycast dot hit edge. Edge is basically if we hit the edge of the screen. Block is if we hit a block. Okay, so this should work for X positive. X is the blue, green. So the XY plane is what color? This is XY plane. Okay, XY plane is R, red. Okay, so let's just check and see if this works. So if we do red positive, which I never explained how all these axes and the grids and stuff work. They are visual cues as to what direction you're pointing. And it'd probably be good to actually explicitly place that. But basically, if we go, you'll notice blue, green, red. This is X, our X plane. Okay, and if we look towards the white, that's going positive. Going towards the color is going negative. So X, Y, Z. And so this is the X, Y plane. I think that's wrong. This is like a different, whatever. Anyways, let's just place a block up here. And then we might have to place a block here too, just to see which face, because I'm not sure how this will work. Okay, here we go. Cool. So you can see we're painting this face of the cube, which is what I wanted, but not when you're not clicking. So we'll have to fix that. I guess this is the X positive. So this is going forwards, which makes sense. So this is Z. I guess blue is Z. So this would be Z positive, and then that would be Y positive going up. And then that would be X negative, Z negative, Y negative. Okay. So we want to do that on click. If mouse left, which is just like the reason I abstracted that is because it does a little bit of a debounce magic. Let's finish this up and then I'll talk about how it all works. So we'll say else if that except -1, then cubes block index dot backface equals draw color. Okay, and we'll do the same thing for all our other things. 3, 4, 5, 6. This will be 0, 1, 0, -1, 0, 1, and 0, -1. So this one will be our top face. This will be our bottom face. This will be our right, and this will be left. Okay. So this means we should be able to paint stuff whenever we hit it. And actually, we probably want to highlight it too. So if we're just hovering, in this case, we don't actually want to modify the cube. We just want to modify the draw call. How do we want to do that? So if we're not clicking, we just want to make it look like we're about to paint that surface. Trying to think. So if we want to make it look like we're about to paint that surface, basically what we want to do is we want to paint a fake cube there. Problem with that is if there's two cubes there, then we're going to get some weird overlap. For now, we'll do it this way. We'll say if we have this, we'll say draw cube, block center, and then we'll give it, we can actually set up all the colors based on this, right? So we can just do this. And then we'll say GLM vec3 or vec4, color equals GLM vec4, 1, 1, 1, 0.8, right? And then we can just say, I guess this would we're gonna have to, this is kind of annoying. Okay, so we'll do that. We have left, right, back, bottom, top, bottom, top, left, right, back, front. Front color. Okay, so then this would be that. This would be back. This would be top. And I have that capitalized for some reason. Top. This would be bottom. And this would be right. And this would be left. Okay, so this will let us draw a highlighted cube because we're not actually making any permanent changes. So then what can we do? We can say, I think it starts with left. Yeah, left. Okay, cool. So left color, right color, bottom, top, back, front. Okay, so that's non-permanent change. And now if we run this, we should see highlights and we should be able to do that. Since you missed it, why do the coloring of the sides in the shader? Because it was the simplest solution and I'm lazy and this doesn't need to be performant or anything. So yeah, I figured it was just the simplest solution for me, at least. I don't know. Maybe there's other simpler solutions, but yeah. Okay, so this is kind of bad. We actually get that whole cube, which isn't what we want. We only want the cube drawn if we're actually looking at it. But you can see that cube kind of goes over and then it looks like we're drawing it. You know? I guess that's kind of what we want. And if we click, it applies it. Click, applies it. See, I don't like that, the way that it kind of changes that stuff, but that's the gist of it, right? And I don't like how we have this cube highlighted, which is not what we want. Concerns are if we have something here, I don't think this is going to work. Oh no, it looks like that does work. Cool. So if I click that, cool. I didn't know if that hit normal would be correct because it's on the edge, but it looks like it is. Awesome. So that's painting textures, right? It doesn't look very good. We can at least do one thing, which is not draw the cube if we're not hitting a block. Okay, so I guess what we don't care about that. So only if we hit a block. Let's do this one more time, make sure that's work, and then I'll go into like how, yeah. Make the color semi-transparent maybe, and get rid of the cube because from what I can see, there are some weird graphical things happening with it. Yeah, what's happening there is since we're, I think it's like overwriting the other cube because of the Z positions and everything. It's just discarding certain things. So there's a lot of things that are going to have to change about it. This is what I wanted though. So no cube when we're hovering, but if we do this, you kind of get that. We're going to have some way where we can just draw the face though, because clearly that's not right. We don't want it to like do all that. So we're going to have to figure out some way to fix that. But this is the basic gist of it, right? And that works. We've got colored cubes and everything. Cool. I'm pretty happy with that. We can add some like extra things here, which I will. But let's talk about how this stuff actually works real quick. Yeah, when it's inside a block. So we'll talk about, when we talk about how this works, we can talk about why that's happening and stuff as well. Guys, it's only an hour in and we've already gotten this far. I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, so and we can fix that actually pretty easily. I'm having ideas how we can. Anyways, so how is this all working? Let's look at the core of the app. So if we go to main.cpp, we've got all this stuff. I am going to have to do this so that we can consume the IAMGUI events. Right now, our callbacks are just automatically registered for us, which is why IAMGUI events don't get consumed properly. Basically, we have this init free update, right? Basic stuff. I guess that makes a little bit more sense. Let's jump into init. So what happens when we initialize? First of all, we have to load GL functions, and this is annoying. Since GLAD is in the DLL, in this case, if we look at the structure of this, you can see we've got all this stuff, and then we have Crumble Block Builder and Crumble.exe. They both use enginecore.dll, which has all of the core engine features like input, the frame loop, game loop, whatever. a lot of core stuff. It has RML embedded in there and everything. And one annoying thing that I forgot about was, since we're using GLAD in the DLO, we also have to initialize GLAD here so that the functions get loaded in both the DLO and the executable. This threw me for a loop for like 2 hours. Very annoying. But anyways, then we initialize our config, which does nothing right now. Our skybox background, which is... See ya, Hilbert Curve. Thanks for joining. So the skybox background is the cube map plus these kind of planes that draw our cubes. Camera controller, which is just the camera controller. Player controller, which is like all that editing stuff that we're doing and the raycasting and all that. I separated these because it felt right to just have camera be separate than the edit stuff. This could probably be named better, but yeah. I am GUI manager, which just does our I am GUI initialization and stuff. If we actually look into here, this is a pretty simple thing. It just creates the context, and then it just does our begin frame, end frame, and free stuff. So that's a very simple class, I guess you could call it. It's just a set of functions, but yeah. And then main panel. And the main panel is basically just the main panel. It's this thing. So this just controls all of this stuff. And then you can see we've just got like our GUIs, and then we've got this delta frame counts, which is how I'm doing that FPS counter thing. It's probably more complicated than it needs to be since I'm actually counting the number of frames in the past second, but it is what it is. This is pretty simple too. It's just basic I'm GUI stuff. So if we look through here, so updating, just regular update stuff, free, just regular freeing stuff. And if we take a look at the skybox background, you can see that we've got a cube map, we've got the shader, we have the grid background, which is just a texture, and it's just like one single cube. RML is a library for like HTML, CSS backgrounds and stuff, RML UI. This thing. So it's a pretty cool library. Sam introduced it to me, and you can do HTML, CSS in C++. Not full spec, but like pretty close. Okay, sorry. So for this thing, we've got like basic, we just have squares, is what I call them. These are technically planes. Well, kind of not, because it's just a 3D square. It has an end. So that just has some size and stuff. And basically, I just do all this stuff manually because, once again, quickest thing. Why not write it yourself? I'm not writing a HTML CSS parser myself. Yeah, no. Good with using the library there. So this is all pretty simple. It's literally just rendering these as 3D objects, and then this is just a texture that's repeated. So very simple stuff. And then I have a color applied to it to color it different things. Nothing fancy there. Player controllers, where pretty much all the fancy stuff is happening. I guess camera controller is kind of interesting. Camera controller is just like we have the player position, velocity, acceleration, all that stuff is kind of embedded in here. He's traumatized from the CPP parser. No. Parsing HTML. HTML is like one of the worst things. There was a great article, blog, Mozilla. I read a blog once upon a time, and it was just like funny because they were talking about all the ill-formed HTML that was just horrible that they had to like fix and stuff. Because HTML, yeah, I wrote HTML and CSS parser. It's pain. It is because HTML doesn't have any formal spec, right? You can write malformed HTML and it just works, and it's just horrible with doing that stuff. So yeah, that huge indent. I did not see the indent. Okay, so camera controller is kind of interesting. We just have some basic physics stuff, right? I initialize the player's position and orientation. Just kind of do that manually. Projection, it gets set up in here, and then we set that to the input so that we can actually calculate all that stuff. XML actually has errors and stuff. HTML is not like a formal, it has a formal specification, but it accepts anything. Like I can write, just go real quick. If I just go and say like, let's create a new file here. New text document. bad HTML.html. So if I just do this and then we open this up in VS Code and I just write this will work. This is not properly formed HTML, but it will work. If we open this up, you can see it says blah here. And you can see if I open up Inspector, I have no errors and it has correctly formatted it. This is why HTML is such a pain to parse, because they fix this stuff for you. It doesn't throw errors. It just does stuff to make it work. And that's why it is not XML, because XML will yell at you and say, that's illegal. As far as I know, it will just like fail parsing. So yeah, that's why XML is preferred in like a lot of other frameworks and stuff, because they can actually throw errors at you if you create malformed XML and stuff, as opposed to HTML, which just works. Yeah. Anyways, tangent aside. So camera controller basically does some very simple gameplay stuff, right? I just get the direction, forward, right, up vectors of the camera, create the matrix, and then I handle movement. So movement handling is pretty easy. If you press W, S, D, A, right, those are the keys to do the movement. We just set the axis, which is like which direction are we moving. And then Y, you can do shift and space to go up and down. And then we basically just create an acceleration vector based on that stuff. I do some stuff here. This is just normalizing that acceleration based on your movement axis. And then we just increase the velocity by the acceleration, the player position by the velocity. And then we add some friction to stop you. And then if it's 0 or close enough to 0, I just zero it out completely. And if we press the middle mouse button, this is where we handle rotations and stuff. So then I just set the cursor mode to locked. We go ahead, get the delta mouse X and Y, which is just like how much we've moved left or right. I do some sort, this is like not interpolation, but kind of. I don't actually use this lerp, so ignore that. And this kind of just does stuff to make it a little bit smoother when you move the mouse left and right and stuff. I gotta fix this up a little bit. And then it just clamps to a 0 to 360 range, doing that stuff. And we go back to normal mode after we get out of that. So camera controller is pretty simple. That input hurts me quite deeply. I am sorry. I've offended you. Like I said, this is just a throwaway app, so I care less. But yeah, it works. So that's all I can move my mouse. I can do this. I can move around. It's all pretty smooth. You get a little bit, it does accelerate. So it's not like instantaneous movement, which makes it a little bit less jarring. But yeah, that's all that takes care of. That said, implementing an entire HTML and CSS spec, even rejecting ill-formatted HTML would be a pain. It would indeed. Yes. So that's that. The player controller, which does the raycasting everything. And let's talk about the raycasting. So I am not doing like any sort of pixel reading. These are actual raycasts, but these raycasts are perfect. So if we go and create like some, kind of hard to detect block, you can see that I can actually detect exactly which block, pixel perfect, right? If I move my mouse just to the left, you see how that block is switching depending on where my mouse is pointing. This is pixel perfect detection, even though we are not using pixels. So how do we get pixel perfect raycasts? It's pretty easy since we're using cubes in a fixed layout grid. There's an awesome paper I found a while ago that goes over this in a little bit more detail. And I kind of botched the implementation a bit, but it works good enough. If we look at the Raycast, we basically do this thing where we go, and if we look at this paper, it explains it way better than I ever will. A fast voxel traversal for ray tracing. And I've botched the implementation a bit, but the whole basis of it is we can trace out exactly which cubes this ray passes through, and then we can just test the Raycast against each of those cubes. So this is slightly different than you might think. Oh, this is like a line algorithm, right? Creating lines and stuff. So like, what is it? I think it's Bresenham's line algorithm. You might think it's similar to this, but it's not, because this is not perfect. Yeah. Okay. So you might think, oh, it's just doing this, right? Where we basically get, but it's not, because look at that. we're missing this square. Technically, if we want to trace out every square this ray passes through, we would do all of these. It would actually include this one, and it would include this one and this one, which Bresenham's algorithm does not get. This is what I originally used, and I realized this. This algorithm actually includes all those. And it basically works by just using the delta x and y to figure out which next grid square is closer. And then it basically just uses that stuff. If we scroll down a little bit. They don't talk much about it. It uses that to narrow down which thing we go through. And they have like the code here, which if you actually work out the code and do it by hand, it makes a lot of sense and it's pretty cool. And then you can extremely quickly just go through and narrow stuff down. There's no like square roots if you do it right. If you do it right, you should just be doing stuff like this, where you just do some additions and then you literally just add stuff and it all works. I'm not doing it right, which is why I've had to add some tweaks to make it work properly. But basically, we just go through, we do the Raycast, and then once we hit the Raycast, I go in here and do a proper Raycast if there's a cube occupying that area. This is the proper Raycast, which will basically go and check and see if where exactly the ray is hitting the cube, give us the normal, do all that stuff. So you can see we set the points of intersection, whether we hit the block, we get the center of the block, we get the size, and we get the normal. So that's what all that stuff is. And then we return. That's how the Raycast works. And I have some extra logic in here to return early if we hit the unit box, which is basically the edges, right? Because technically, if I'm hitting any point on this plane, I shouldn't be able to tell where I'm actually hitting it, but I can, because I know that these extend from 0 to 16, and so I can basically exit early out of that Raycast algorithm if we've entered and then we're starting to exit it. So I just use a combination and then we can add cubes. Hopefully that made some sense a little bit, maybe. But yeah, that's the basis of it. And then what else do we do in here? We basically do everything that we've just been doing in this episode so far, or video, I guess, which is drawing all that stuff, instancing, all that, you know? And then I also have the brush size. You can increase the brush size, which basically just gives us a bigger cube to work with. And you can see we've got some weird stuff going on there. That's just because of the way I'm doing my draw calls and everything. So yeah, got to fix that. And that's interesting. Looks like I have some broken stuff. If we have an even number of blocks here, this should work fine. Or at least it used to work fine. It should butt up right against the thing, but for some reason we're getting gaps. Okay. Anyways, I don't know why that is. I've clearly broken something. Let's work on the painting of textures, though. Let's actually get this so that we can do this properly. And actually draw stuff. But yeah, look at that. That's pretty cool. I am happy with this so far. Okay, sorry, tangent. We're drawing this guy. Okay. Smiley face, kind of. There we go. Okay, anyways. I've been trying not to slack on my spare time. This is actually not this is probably like 6 hours of work. I could have done a lot more. Unfortunately, I haven't had the time to do a lot more, but yeah. John Mega, so in that group chat, somebody wrote Italian for caps. It's almost 8 p.m. here, but by all means, good morning. Okay, let's fix this. This is not correct because look what happens when I go to this face. We want to still show that blue texture, right? And we're not. So let's actually create like a draw face or something, which we can use, or draw square, I guess would work, which we can use to just draw the square that we're trying to draw. And that should be pretty easy. We've already got, let's just create another shader real quick. Face shader .glsl. Okay, so this is literally just for highlighting faces, so it's not going to be complicated. Whoops, that's not what I meant to do. Copy that, paste that in here. All we're going to do is take in a position, text chord, tint, We don't need that. I guess this will just be color. Position color. That sounds good to me. Not that. Okay, position color. I'm trying to think, do I need anything else? No, that should be fine. Should we calculate the positions there? Yes. Okay, so we're just going to do that. We don't need projection. We do need view. Okay, so wait, yeah, we do need view and projection. Okay, so we do need this. So projection, view, no transform, position, no text chords, F color equals A color. And that will be F color. Actually, we don't even need to do this too. Let's remove that. That will be a uniform. Okay, so projection view, and then in here, uniform, U color, that out vec4 frag color, and frag color equals U color. Okay, so this will be our block creator thingy, or our face drawer shader, face shader. Not human face, but a block face. Okay. Let's go into here. We need to compile that real quickly. That should be easy. And since this is just glmvec3, we don't need to have like a vertex definition or anything like that. So let's go ahead. We will say static un32 face VBO, face VAO. So that will be our VAO VBO thing. Array glmvec3. vec3 for face verts. Okay, so we just need 4 glmvec3s for the vertices. That will be our buffer. I don't even know if it's worth doing it like this, but that's how we're gonna do it. We actually need 6 because we're gonna have, yeah. Okay. We need a shader too. Static shader, face shader. Okay, and then we'll say face shader that face shader dot glsl. Okay, so we've got that. We're gonna compile that. We have our shader, and then we want to have a function to draw a face, which is just gonna be like a static void draw face. And do we want to batch this? We're gonna batch this, I guess. Well, yeah, we can batch this. Okay, so basically what we're gonna do is say position, or I guess const block center, and then this will have a normal. Okay, so we do that. And once again, I could do this way smarter, but this is just about doing things simple and fast, so I don't care about making this stuff the best. So, draw face. We just want to say if cmath compare normal glm vec3 100, and we'll do all of this else if that's gross. There we go. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Same deal that we have below. And that should be good. Okay, cool. So this is X positive. That's the right face. So if that's the case, we need 4 vertices. Verts. That should be 3. 4 vertices. Verts 0 equals block center plus normal. Plus, if this is the right face, we want to do like something like that, right? And we want to iterate between these things. So 2, 3. So we got 1, 1. That's the top right. Bottom right is, let's start with bottom right. Okay. Or let's start with bottom left. That would be -1 actually. And actually, I think these need to be 0.5s.
Yes, because we're going, that makes more sense. Okay, let's do that actually. So that 1, 2, 3. Okay, so bottom left, top left, top right, bottom right. Nope, that's negative, that's positive. Okay, there we go. So we got our vertices, and we actually want 6 of them, which we'll do in a second. Jomega, to be honest, grid raycasting is simple algo, but I guess raycasting would be faster when having a structure that handles spatial division. I mean, I don't think any raycasting algorithm is simple, but yeah, it is definitely simpler than like a generic raycasting algorithm. Gabe, try to pronounce this. Pastor twos, egg Ozzy, Asa Kakon? I have no idea. I'm guessing I pronounced that completely wrong. So is that like Czech or Polish? Hungarian? I don't know. Definitely a language I'm not familiar with. Okay, let's do like final verts or whatever. We'll do that as 6. Just make sure we know what these are. Hungarian, okay. Bottom left. This is top left. This is top right. And this is bottom right. Okay, so we'll say final vert 0 equals vert 0. Bottom left. So we just want 2 triangles here. 1, 2, 0, 2, 3. Okay, and I guess we could do this outside of this. Let's do that. And we'll do that. Okay. So we basically want, and then as long as we make these all the same, we should be good. So bottom left, top right. So 0, 1, 2. Bottom left, top right, bottom right. So 0, 2, 3. Okay, and then we'll just do these calculations manually, because that is simple and that's what I'm all about. Okay. So I guess technically if we have 1 or -1, this should be the same because we're just going the normal direction and then that. So we could do an OR here and do this here and simplify this even more. So that takes care of that. And we only need to do this once, so we do that. Okay, same thing here. That should be good, I believe. Could be wrong. We'll see. Okay, that, and then same thing here, which I guess technically this is the final case, so we should be in there. Okay, so we just got 3 cases, really. This is 1 here, so instead of doing this, we want to do 0 in the middle. And that should be good. Okay. And then down here, we've got 1 there, so we want to do 0 on the right. And I believe that should be all we need. I don't like macros. No, I don't. And I don't know how well a macro would help here. Like I said, I'm not trying to do anything smart. This is just dead simple, and it's pretty fast. I could write a macro. I could write a function, probably make it a little bit quicker, but, you know. Or were you talking to somebody else? I don't know. Natsu 130. I assumed that was towards what the code I was writing and stuff, but I could be wrong. Okay, so we've got this. What does this say? Using uninitialized memory. Well, let's initialize it. Technically, it should fall into one of these cases. Okay, whatever. So we got that. That should not be uninitialized because we do this. Okay. Let's go ahead. So we've got this, and then what do we want to do? We just want to say GL bind buffer, GL array buffer, and we want to bind our face buffer, face VBO, and buffer data, GL array buffer. Size is that times 6. Data is our final verts. Usage is GL dynamic draw, I guess, since we're changing it. Yeah. I guess technically we should probably do buffer sub data so we're not creating an actual new thing. I don't think it matters too much, but yeah. Offset is 0. Data is final verts. Okay. So we do that, and then we say that should be it. So we buffer that. All good there. Draw face. Okay, so I guess that's gonna like queue it up, and then we can draw it at the end of the frame. After we draw all of our cubes, which happens here. Okay, yeah. So we say dispatch draw calls, which should draw all of our cubes. And then we can say if draw face, I'll add something for that. If should draw face, then we'll say GL bind buffer or bind vertex array. Array is going to be face VAO. And then we'll just say GL draw elements or arrays. Triangles 0, 6. And that should be it. We also need to bind our shader. And we need to upload our color. Face draw color. Okay. And that will all be handled here. So we'll add a couple more variables. Static bool face should draw face static glm vec4 face draw color, and that should do that. Okay. Should draw face will be set to false. And then only if we call draw face somewhere, which will happen up there, then we'll draw it. Okay, let's go ahead and say, let's see. Where do I have that draw face function? Because I think I have to change something. Okay, so we do that. Oh yeah, we need to add color here. So const glm vec4 ref color. And then we can say draw face color. Nope, face draw color equals color. Okay, and then let's go draw face right here. Const color. Okay, and now where we're drawing cubes inside of handle paint block, we'll draw faces. Okay, so then we will do okay, so that's fine. What we want to change here is instead of doing this, we want to say draw face raycast.block center raycast.hit normal, and color is going to be our draw color. And then we can get rid of all of this. Okay, so that should draw the face and draw it with that color. We need to set it up still. Okay, let's add one more function real quickly because I never initialized that memory on the GPU. So static void setup default phase setup default cube. Where is that defined? We'll do the face right below this, and we'll say let's just copy this because it's going to be easier. I mean, I guess it's not easier, but whatever. Okay, so we want to say face VAO, face VAO. Then we want to do face VBO, face VBO. And we want to do GLM vec3 times 6. Null dynamic draw. And that's that. 0, 3, size of float times 3. That's fine. And we can get rid of all this. Okay. And then we need to call that. Setup default face. Okay. Let's see if all that works. First try. Can we do it? What is mean 2x set the final vectors, like face final 0 and 2? Not sure what you're asking there. Okay, let's see. I haven't been following conversations in here, so that's probably why. Paint, we are getting nothing. We should be getting something. I wonder if we're getting something on the inside. Nope. Let's try this. Oh, wait. Draw face. Should draw face is true. There we go. We forgot that. Let's see if this works now. And I'm leaking some memory, which is what my console was trying to warn me about. So we'll have to see that in a minute too. Okay. Is this going to work? Place block. Paint color. Still doesn't look like we're getting anything. Whoa, they just disappeared. No, they didn't. I moved. Okay. Looks like it's still... Okay, so that's still working. So we can still paint the faces. It's just not drawing them for some reason. Let's see what's going on. Let's also free that memory when we call free because it's getting mad at me. So we want to say face shader dot destroy, and we want to delete all of our buffers, which I forgot about. So gl delete buffers 1 default. Actually, what is it? We called it like for the cube stuff, color buffer and our MVP buffer. Okay, and then we want to say gl delete buffers 1 and face VBO and gl delete vertex arrays face VAO. Okay, so that's all cleaned up. We're good there. Now what's going on here? Let's hit a breakpoint, make sure this is all correct. We should at least hit this whenever I hover over one of the block faces. So we'll see if we actually do. Okay, so place block, paint color. Okay, so we are hitting it, draw color. That looks correct. It should be red-ish, 0.6, 0.1, 0.1. Yeah, so that's definitely reddish. What do our vertices look like? Let's see. Locals. No, it's not going to show me. I think I called it face verts or something, right? No. I don't think there is any place for that. Let's go to draw face and we will step through the function, make sure it's working okay. Draw face. Okay, here we go. So we'll do this. This should be in world. Yeah, so this is definitely in world coordinates. And in our shader, we're going projection times view times world chords. So that should be fine. Let's hit continue. Okay, we're going through here. Oh, are we hitting this after? We shouldn't be hitting this every time. Oh, I guess, yeah, we shouldn't be hitting this every frame. Where is this getting called from? This is getting called from here. Draw face. Yeah, it shouldn't be getting called every frame. Let's do this again and see if we hit it. What's channel points? I'm not sure. Is that like a Twitch thing? Because if it is, I just don't really know that much about Twitch stuff. Okay, so we hit this. Let's just step through here. We've got block center 11.5. The normal is 1, 0, 0, which is good. So we should fall into one of these camps, which is this one. So if we step 11, okay, so we fall into this. That's good. Verts 0 is 12.5, 11.0, 2.0. That looks correct. Okay, so those all look correct. Let's think about this for a second. So this is located at 11.5, 11.5, 2.5. So if we want to draw on the border 11.5, 11.5, 2.5, and we're going X positive, we should get 12.0. And then we want bottom left, top left. Okay, so we should get 12 point something for these vertices. Okay, so we get 12.5, 11.0. Yeah, that works. Oh, we shouldn't be getting 12.5 though. We should be getting like, oh. This should be times 0.5 first of all. So let's do that. Actually, just this. Okay, so that's what that should be. I don't think that's the problem though. But let's see if it is. Okay. Don't think this is going to fix it, but yeah. Voxverse, it may just be on press and release. This should be running like if we just hit Raycast and we're in paint mode every time, is what should be happening. We can double check that though in just a minute and make sure. Okay, paint. Okay, so we still don't see anything. Yeah, because when we press, it actually does paint it. Why are we not seeing faces though? Let's try something else. Let's try just drawing a face every frame and see if we can get that to work. So we'll say draw face at 0.5, which should be the bottom corner. And we'll say 1, 0, 0. And 1, 0, 0, 1. So it should be red. Okay. So this should draw a face every frame, and then we need to do it after we do that. Otherwise, it's just going to cancel itself out. Let's see what happens. And then once we get this working, we should be able to get the other part working. Because I think this is just broken itself. And it could be bad vertex attribute. I don't know. So what we should see is a face right here. We do not. So that's clearly broken. So let's double check. Location 0 is, I don't think I enabled the attribute, did I? No, I did. Okay. So we say vertex array, face VAO, bind, VBO, bind, buffer, 6 vec3s. That's 12 times 6 is, yeah, 12 bytes per vec3. That sounds right. We do null, which is fine. That just means just create the buffer. Okay. 3 floats. Is that correct? Yes, 3 floats. Size of float times 3 is the size of 1 vertex. That is true. Offset 0. Okay, so this all looks correct, which means that our draw face function is probably broken. So what's happening here? Okay, we're uploading the correct thing. We bind face VBO, buffer subdata, 0 size, 6 vec3s, data, final verts. So that all looks correct too. And we know we definitely set that because we just checked that. Maybe the problem is in the final verts. That's what I was wondering too, but it looks like, yeah, let's check them. Okay. It's worth checking, right? So we'll make sure that those are correctly getting filled with our vertices. So if we look at here, 1, 0, 0, that sounds right. 1, 0, 1. Okay, let's think about this real quick. Okay, so 1, 0, 0, that's X positive. 1, 0, 1, that's, okay, so 1, 0, 0 is bottom right. This is top right if we're looking at the Z plane. Okay, that's definitely not right. I think I already see the problem. Oh, and that's definitely not right either. What's happening there? Okay, I think that's probably our main problem. Oh. That's what it should be. Yeah, use 023. Yeah, thank you, Art085. Final verse. Yes. Final verts was wrong. Okay, let's see if that fixes it. I don't think it will still because I think the vertices themselves are incorrect too, which it looks like they are because we should be getting something drawn, but we are not, and it should be in this bottom corner. Let's breakpoint here again. Okay. Yeah, I think what's happening is, should we be adding the normal? Yeah, I think that's right. Okay, wait, let's check this again. Make sure that these vertices are correct. This is what you were saying at the start. Oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't. Yep. Little guy, isn't just the draw call missing? The draw call is happening here. Yeah, so we're saying bind the face VAO draw raise 06. So that should be fine. I think it's the vertices, but let's just double check that. And let's also, I called it U color. Okay, yeah, that's U color. Oh, I'm not uploading projection or view. That's probably what it is. Wait a second. Let's go back up here. Face shader.upload mat4 U projection get view. Okay. And that should be get projection. Get projection, get view. Okay, I think this is what it was, which would make sense. Okay, let's go remove that breakpoint and see, because if it was, then it means it's not drawing at all in the correct location. Nope, still don't see it. Did I call that the right thing? U projection and U view. Yep, that's definitely right. And okay, so let's check these vertices one more time. So 0. This one is 1, 0, 0. Okay, so that's bottom left because Y and Z are the ones that should be changing. We should have 1, which we do for X in all these cases. So 0, 0, that's bottom left. 0, 1, that would be top right. Yep, because that's like kind of the one we're incrementing. 1, 1, which would be, oh, that would be top right. So the other one was top left. So bottom left, top right. That sounds correct. Bottom left, top right. bottom right. Yeah, that all sounds right. Where's the model matrix? We shouldn't need the model matrix because I am transforming these into world coordinates right here, which is why there is no model. So then in the shader, all we need to do is just projection view position, which should be all we need. I might pull up render doc. Let's do that real quick. Okay. Because then we can inspect it and make sure that it's actually getting through correctly. So let's go launch that with our directory being here. Launch F12. Let's inspect this. Okay. So we get, those are not what we want. Yeah, we can see over here that this is just, or I guess over here, drawing those planes. That's a cube. I don't know what cube we're drawing in this case, but we are, I guess. And then this is the one that we're looking for. Oh, we have Cole face enabled. I bet you and this is what I was wondering. I didn't think it would matter though, but I bet you it's just culling the face. Let's see. If we go up here, does it work now? Let's see. If so, we definitely fixed a couple other errors because those other things were incorrect. There we go. Okay. That's right. So it was just culling the face. Let's see if we can actually order these vertices in the correct winding order so we don't have to do that. Which means we should be able to just swap the top and the bottom. So if we just do 2, 0, 3, 0, that should swap the winding order, and then we should see it now, even though I just removed that stuff, right? I did remove it. I did remove it. Okay, so we should still see it now. And we do still see it. Okay, and then the back face is just cold, which it should be. Cool, so that's what we wanted. Let's go ahead, remove that. Do this. What does cull face do exactly? It culls the back face of the polygon. So you'll notice that when I moved around it, the back face was invisible. And it does that based on winding order. So if you're going clockwise with your triangles, then it will show that direction. But if you're looking at it from the other direction, then that will be counterclockwise so it doesn't draw it. It's a little bit interesting. Hopefully I'll have some cool visualizations and stuff when I get to episodes that deal with that stuff. Okay, cool. Look at this. So we are, or we were, what's going on now? Oh, I think what's happening, so we're having Z fighting, right? So Z fighting, what can we do to remedy that? We can offset it just very slightly. So let's offset it very slightly with a simple tweak to our normal. So draw face, we'll do normal times 0.51, and that should offset it enough that we don't get that Z fighting. Yeah. Basically, it doesn't draw the faces you don't see to improve rendering times. Exactly, yeah. So if you know what culling is with general geometry, where you basically remove geometry that's not in the camera's view, it's the same thing, except it's just doing it in terms of geometry that's not facing the same direction as the camera. Cool. So this is working now. It looks like our top face and bottom face are incorrect. Nope, bottom face works. Left face does not. Top face does not. Back face does not. And I'm guessing that's because those are now wound in the incorrect order. So wait a second. So this is positive, positive, positive. No, positive, positive, negative works here. So what's going on is we just need to say if, let's do this. If normal.x is greater than 0, or normal.y is less than 0, or normal.z is greater than 0, we want to do it this way. Otherwise, we want to reverse this because it looks like our winding orders need to be switched up depending on the direction we're going. So if we do that, we should see it on all faces now. And it looks like you could tell that offset was there, so we're gonna have to switch that. Gabe seems to swear by I am GUI. I like it too. You have implemented it in record time? It took me a little bit. So when I was like setting it up and everything, it always takes me a little bit just to get it working because there's a few things that I always forget about, which is annoying. But yeah, it was pretty easy. Like an hour to set it up. Okay. Yep, that's good. I don't like, look, if you see this, you can see the gap where we have it to avoid the Z fighting. So let's make that gap a bit smaller by doing like 0, 1. And let's make our lives easier. Float normal offset equals 0.501f. Which we can do that. And we're good. I'm just saying, you didn't have it last stream at least. Such a neat tool. Yeah, I did not. I added it last night, and it took me about an hour and a half to add it. So yeah, it definitely gets easier the more you add it to projects and stuff. But would be nice if it was like instant. It's not bad though. It's pretty easy to add. So, okay, sweet. You can't even see the gap now. Okay. And then if we were to actually click, we get it there. And if we switch colors, sweet. Okay, guys, I am happy with this. You can see you get like a little bit of a highlight too, which is cool. So yeah, I like that. You can see also that the light position definitely changes the color, which might not be good. I should add a way so we can change the sun's position so that you can actually color this stuff a little bit better. Let's just do that. I need to get drag working too, because you can see if I'm holding down. Oh, hey, got some applause from Langors. Thanks. Then record time stands. I would have used a week or 5. The more you set something up, the easier it gets, I promise. We've had some productive streams, guys. Like, I'm actually getting stuff set up. I don't know what I'm drawing here. But it's just proof that we can now paint and stuff. Pretty good, right? Let's go ahead and fix. So like I said, the I am GUI events are not being consumed. If I click this and then I were to switch, it's actually going to place that big block, which we don't want. That's not ideal. So let's fix that. Let's first, though, say git add dot, and we'll just call that get texture painting mostly working. The reason I say mostly is because we still need to do a lot to get it the rest of the way there. We need to like actually write it to a texture and export it and all that stuff. But that will come eventually. Your brother will go nuts in this editor, hopefully. And hopefully it's easy to use and I fix up all the bugs so that it's not annoying and then make stuff worse. But yeah, so we've got that. Let's fix those events. We need to do this to fix those events. So, whoops, we want to do that. And we want to do, we'll just call this like input char callback. Well, okay. Yeah, this is fine. Because basically what I'm doing here is I'm just saying, wait. I think this is all this is going to do is it's going to forward. It's going to forward these events is all this is doing, I think. Let's see. Wait a second. Sorry, I'm trying to remember how all this is working real quickly. So let's go into window. So this registers our callbacks. Oh, I want to go into window class. Okay, so this, let's go into window.cpp. So believe this just goes straight to our input. Okay, yeah. So this goes and calls this. And then this goes and calls this, which goes and forwards it to, okay, yeah. So we're still going to call those functions. So actually, instead of doing this, let's just make it simpler on ourselves. And we'll check and see if IamGUI consumed our event. So inside of IamGUI Manager, we can say something like bool processed input event. And I guess we should make this a little bit more granular. We'll say processed mouse move, processed mouse click. We'll use those two for now since those are the two big ones, okay? And then we'll go into here and we can add this down here. And I believe we can check pretty easily, maybe. If IamGUI processed, or I guess what, mouse, get mouse click count, capture mouse from app. Let's see, I think it's one of these. Is mouse clicked? Yeah, I think we can use like any of these. And actually, I guess that's wrong. What is this taking? So IamGUI is mouse move. Mouse move. Okay, we'll do that one in a minute. For now, let's do this. Gabe, make a pot. Does the brush work when painting or just with geometry? Just with geometry for now. We've got to make it work with painting. And we'll make a pot in a minute. That sounds like a fun idea. Okay, and LeoFlow, when you click it, is it placing a plane or is it coloring the face? So when I click it, it's actually painting the cube, but when I'm hovering, it's just placing a plane there right in front of it. Yep. And unlimited chunks, we will add unlimited chunks too, I promise. All this stuff is coming. I want to fix this first though. Is mouse clicked down? Let's do that. And what does that take in? That takes in button. Let's do, I guess we'll just do this for now. I really don't like this because this is not how it should work. We'll have to figure something out. Okay. Can we just do like if IamGUI is hovering rect? Wait a second, let's see. Is any item hovered? Return. Let's do that. IamGUI is any item hovered. Then IamGUI is processing this. Okay, and we'll do the same thing here. Okay, let's do that. And then let's go into here. And where we have this stuff. Okay, here we go. So we'll say if not IamGUI manager. And let's go ahead and add that here. Okay, we'll do that. Processed mouse. Let's just do, well, okay, let's do if not IamGUI manager processed mouse event. We'll call it that. And we'll do that. And we'll do this. Okay. And let's see if this works. So let's change that to that. Move that. And change that to that. Okay. So what this should do is if our mouse is over the IMGUI windows, it should basically just shortcut our thing and like tell it don't do anything. So we shouldn't be placing blocks when we click. I think I saw you work on Minecraft project on your own, little guy, on Discord. I think it was pretty cool. Work on Minecraft clone, but right now it's full of memory corruption. It happens, don't worry. I've been there myself. Okay, so if I move my mouse over here and click, that's not working. Okay. It shouldn't be doing anything. Let's see. If I move my mouse over here and click. Okay, so that works. So we just need to change that function a little bit. Return IMGUI hovered. Is window hovered. Okay, let's try that. Which I think should return whether it is. Oh, hey, my brother's here with a party of 85. Wow. Thanks for following Viction WQXF. Good to see all you guys. That is true. We're working on this stuff, which is hopefully going to be our block editor. Thank you for following, Fast Assassin. Good to see you guys. Thanks for the raid, Mike. It's good to see you. So yeah, this is still not working though. So we've still got to fix this up a little bit. But we do have this stuff working, which is good. For everyone who's joining, we're basically working on an editor. MG, thank you for following. We're working on an editor so that you can basically paint and build block types in this thing. And then we'll be able to bring this over to the actual game where we can build blocks and stuff. So this should all work out hopefully in the future. General J YouTube, thank you for following. And Prim Guardian. We might reach 1,000 followers soon. I have no idea what I'm at, but we're pretty close. So yeah, this is what we're working on. And then right now there's some bugs where basically if I go to place a block and then I click over here, it shouldn't place that block because my mouse is over here, but it did. So we're trying to fix that, which should hopefully be fixed pretty soon. And thank you. My mini feed broke. Somebody else followed, but I didn't see who it was. So thank you for following. But yeah, so we're trying to fix that real quick. I think if we do IMGUI, what is this check? I'm at 960 currently. Okay, so we're really close. Yeah. Anyone who has seen Mike's videos on Crumble may know Gabe. That is true. My brother did that video. So this is the game we're working on, and we're working on this specific thing right now. Let's see. IMGUI hovered flags. Let's see. Any window. Let's see if we pass that, does that work? And then we're basically good, I think. So if we place block, I clicked and it did not go. Sweet. So if I go and I hover into here, it stops doing this stuff. Okay, cool. Don't know why that was placed though. Cool. I think that's basically what we want. So now we've got that, and then we can start painting our cubes and make whatever other blocks we want. So that's this done. Excuse me. So next thing we need to do is actually get delete block working, because right now I can't delete any of this stuff if I wanted to. And then let's also see what happens if I turn the alpha all the way down on this and I click. Okay, cool. So that's actually pretty cool. Not that, but this is. If I draw with an opaque color, it actually like colors that out. And then if we go and do this, yep. The Owen Wilson, wow, thank you. Prim Guardian. That didn't sound as good as I wanted it to sound though. They didn't get the full wow in there, I don't think. I'll have to check my bits and stuff and fix the sound alerts. Okay, so we can do this stuff. Let's get the delete block working, and we also need to get this stuff working properly still, because that's not right. And if we do something like this, I should be able to like click into here, which that's going to be a pain, but Yeah, we'll have to figure out some way to do that so that we can actually click into stuff. We can do semi-transparent things too, though. That's pretty cool. So that's like a semi-transparent texture. I'm just kind of exploring what we're going to be able to do, hopefully, with this stuff. Okay. That's pretty cool. Let's go ahead and add the delete block functionality. Langors, who needs delete working? Just save every time you change the block. I guess that's true. Well, I don't have undo working, so that wouldn't be the best. You can save, but you can't really undo anything. Okay, so let's go add delete functionality, which should be basically the same as this stuff. So say case edit mode delete handle delete block. And let's go and then do static void that. And let's go ahead. And we will basically copy this thing. Okay, let's do that. So if we copy that, go up here, copy this. What we're going to do is we'll paint some like red semi-transparent blocks to kind of indicate that it's about to be deleted. So we'll do like that, and we'll do 0.5. And hopefully that will kind of tell you what blocks you're about to delete. And then we basically just want to do this. Occupied is false for all the blocks that we're about to delete. And that should be good. Save to a different file every time. I guess that does work, doesn't it? Let's not resort to making my brothers who will be using this to doing that, because that will not be very fun. Okay, so if we go ahead and place this in, which I've done a horrible job of. But yeah, okay, so we got that. Delete is now working. If I do that, sweet. Okay, so we've actually got that working. Except it should only be going over blocks that are actually visible. We should be seeing that preview. So we should say something like, as we're going through drawing these things, we should be saying index is this. And then if, let's see, if cubes index dot is occupied, then we want to draw that preview, and we only want this to work if we actually hit a block. Okay, so if we do that, and we had to need that block selection thing. Let's see, we need to add, got it somewhere in here, the brush size selector thing, which I promise is something in here. Place block. Okay, we need this thing. There we go. Put that here. And now let's see if that works. Who is better off, you and Gabe, when it comes to life in general? Don't be modest. He is definitely better than me. That is for sure. Not going to argue there. Okay, so if we do this and delete, we can now, or we should see the preview when we hit a block. It's weird that we don't see it unless we hit that. That might be another bug. That is also weird. Let's go, if we go down to 1, we should see it over individual blocks. Okay, so that's actually deleting the block. But for some reason, it's not quite working everywhere. Let's see what's going on there. If we go back into here, so if that cube is occupied, let's see, I think, so if we hit a block, we want to go through and color stuff. That should just work, I think. And then if it's occupied, we do that stuff. Weird. I think deletion is better 1 cube at a time. Well, I just saw this. I think Gabe, he's living on his own and I'm still stuck in uni. Deletion is better 1 cube at a time. I want to at least have that option there though, because like if I allow you to do several, then you could do like this. If I don't break this. Thank you for following. Very sleepy guy named Milo. Let's see. If we go over to here, I think it would be useful to have like, if we go down to like a 4x4 area, and then I could delete stuff like this, you know? So like say I was designing like a fence block or something. I feel like this could definitely be useful because it'd be really annoying to have to go through and like do this one by one. But for some reason, it's not detecting when I hit over here, which is weird. It detects this stuff kind of okay. Wait a second. Am I doing this correct? Yeah, I don't know. This is kind of weird. I see what... CMA Mordo, are you from USA? I am, yes. Dravy Dev. Something with facing view. I think it is. Like something weird is going on here. I'm not quite sure. This Raycast should work regardless of view because like, let's see. It's using the same functionality that we use to place blocks. So if I can place a block here and here and here and here, like I can place a block anywhere in here and that works, which means that deleting them should be the same. But it's clearly not because as soon as I do that, I can't even delete this one, which is weird. And we know that's working too because paint color uses the same thing too. And that's definitely hitting them. Yeah. Okay. So let's see this. We say delete block. We get the raycast. We raycast towards that stuff. Get the brush size. We say if the raycast hit an edge, if the raycast hit a block. Okay. So if the raycast hit a block, I go through, draw the color at half opacity. Where do we... Oh, it's because of this, isn't it? Yes. Okay. I think it's because of this. I'm not sure, though. No, it shouldn't be because of that. I don't think. Is it because of this? I don't think that should matter, but who knows? We'll check. Maybe not responding for all blocks, but a couple changing to true. Let's see. I don't know. Does Gabe look like Mike and pixelated in real life too? Unfortunately, me and Mike look nothing alike, so can't help you guys out there. I can give you a description of him if you want, though. Actually, he looks just like this. Not really. So don't take that. But you guys can start saying that if you want. Just use the Owen Wilson wow every time. Okay, if we move that down to 1. Yeah, I don't get why it's not detecting up here. It should. Okay, if raycast.hitBlock. Let's just do this. Let's say... Change that back to 16. Wow. Okay, that sounded a little bit better. Thank you, Langoris, for playing the WoW. Now we all get the message. Okay, so let's go ahead and just say this. Let's do block int pose. Okay, so we're gonna draw it if we see it. This would be block center. So that should draw it at the correct place. And let's actually, we'll just use GLM floor. We'll use this. Well, we need to do, yes, that floor raycast dot block center. That, and then we'll use this. So this will check and see if we're actually hitting stuff, which we should be. I think it's all the extra stuff that's messed up with the brush size and everything. Gabe, for some reason, you're more likely to respond to a message with your name in it. That is very true. If I see my name, it kind of draws my eye, so I can actually see what's going on there. Okay, so you can see that's actually working, but when I click it, it's not. And if I do this, and we do delete, yeah. So you can see the raycast is definitely okay, because that's got no problem. But something weird is going on with that loop. Essie Woods, Wedding Crashers. What a movie. Okay, let's see. This should all just work. Famous last words, but... So we get the position of the block as an integer. And then we get like the minimum and maximum of what it should be with the brush size, which is the block center. Okay, this might be the problem. So the block center is basically taking the brush size into account, which you can see here. Oh, this is what it is, isn't it? If hit block and brush size equals 1. It's because I'm not... Yeah, okay. Actually, I think I see what the problem is. We just need to do this. Block center equals that. And then if we get rid of this, I think that should fix it. Basically what's happening is when you're placing a block, you want to place it away from the block. Whereas if you're deleting a block, you want the center to actually be the block that you're hovering over. I'll explain that in a minute, but let's just make sure this works. So if I do that, and then we do delete. Okay, cool. And if I click it, cool. That is working. So now you can sort of like do that and then carve stuff out, which is pretty cool. Okay. Yeah, cool. So that's working. Why was it breaking? Ah, thank you. Applause. So why was it not working the first way? I'm trying to see who did the applause and it's not telling me. This thing is so slow. So the reason it wasn't working the first time is because when we're placing a block, which is the code I copied, we want it to be like on top of it, right? We want it to go out one. Whereas if we're deleting a block, we want it to go where we're hitting, which I was like going out one, which means there's no block there. And so it was all breaking kind of. But yeah. So that is that. We've got the ability to delete blocks, paint stuff. And I should probably make it so that you can paint with a bigger brush size too. We can add that stuff later on. But yeah, so we'll be able to basically do this to design and edit some blocks. Let's try and build a fence block real quick and see if this works. Next steps are like adding it so we can import textures and stuff and then use those imported textures to do more fancy stuff. Okay, let's delete Let's change that to like 6. So then if I go there, I think if we just do something like that, is that centered? I'm trying to make a fence block. We're actually going to have to place some stuff there too. That's not going to work out. But here, let's just keep going with this. So if we do this, uh-oh. I probably did this in the worst way possible. There's probably much easier ways to do this, but let's see. This is called usability testing. We're trying to see if this actually works right. Okay. Yeah, I did this in the worst way possible. Let's restart this real quick. Okay, so instead of doing it this way, let's do 4 place block. And then we'll start in like the middle, which I guess the middle is kind of hard to figure out. Okay. And then we could do something like, we'll go down like 2. I need an undo. I didn't mean to do that. Let's delete that. So undo is one of the next things we're going to have to add because that was annoying. And we have a block up there. We shouldn't. I must have accidentally clicked over there. Okay, so that's like that. There's something wrong here though. I think we need to do something like this. Right? Okay, that's like half of a fence post. Let's delete that stuff. Okay. And then let's place some more. So that's that. Oh man, I'm thinking of all the things that I feel like would make this easier. We need stuff to like move these blocks and everything and do all sorts of stuff like that because that will make this way easier. Let's do this actually. Let's just paint all this. But the great thing about this is since I've coded this, we can just add those functions in as needed. And then also like a mirror thing would be nice so that we can mirror this to the other edge. So if we do that, yeah, that's like a fence block. Alice Qfu. I don't know how to say that. Thank you for following. Gabe, make a pot. Okay, yeah, we'll make a pot after we do this. Let's finish. I just need to make sure that I can at least make a fence block and then we'll go to the pot. Okay, let's do that. And this. This is giving me a good idea of like how painful it is to actually use this. So I can hopefully add stuff to make it better. Okay, let's do 2 and then we want to go there. Oh, and that's broken because it's going the wrong way. So I gotta fix that too. That's a bug. Okay, we got that. And then we also need it down here. And I think I need one more. So let's go do that. And let's delete these. It would also be nice to have like key combos so that I don't have to actually click up here to switch modes. So that's another thing that will be worth adding. Okay, that's a fence. Now let's paint it and see how that feels. Joe Mega. Wait, let's see. Langors, that's using perspective projection, right? It is using perspective projection. So it might be nice to add like a switch to orthographic mode as well, just so that that's a little bit easier. Why not use Magica Voxel though? Can't color side separately. I don't know what Magica Voxel is too. What is Magica Voxel? Let's see. I'm assuming the other thing too is this looks really cool. That is insane. that people are doing stuff like that. The other thing too is though, like if I build it myself, I can control exactly how it's going to get exported and everything, which is nice because then I can export it in exactly the mode I need and import it in exactly the mode I need. So, and then I can integrate it like just completely with the game. Yeah, I definitely need to add like a drag functionality here because this is really annoying. Having it not just like drag as we click. So that's definitely something that will be added. But yeah, this worked pretty good. Not too shabby. Cool. I mean, the hope is that we can then export this, and I'm going to like create a viewer and everything so that you can see how this would look like in the context of some blocks around it so that you can actually see it like to scale, which will be nice. So all of that stuff will be added eventually. Yeah, that's a voxel modeling tool. It's nice too, but it's way cooler if you're building this yourself. Okay, well, I appreciate that you guys think it's cooler to build it myself. I also thought this was kind of fun. That's why I went and started doing this, because I thought it'd be cool to just build it. It's a waste of my time for sure, but yeah. Voxel means all sides have the same color because, well, it's a voxel. I'm of the opinion, why use something when you can make it yourself? Also, maybe allow changing the sun position direction. That should be pretty easy to do. So before, and this is lopsided. I just realized that. It is not centered. I don't think it is. So let's go ahead and do that real quick because I like that idea. Changing the sun position. So right now, the sun is just hard-coded here. So we can just do that. And then we can just do that, and 45, 45, 45 is the initial value. So we'll go into here, and we'll add, let's see, these should all be static. I mean, it doesn't really matter, but yeah. Static, glm vec3, sun position equals. Okay, we'll do that, and then we can have, oh, we're also going to have to add this too real quick. So we'll say const glm vec3 ref get sun pose. We'll add that in a minute. I guess we could just add it right now. Return sun position. Okay. Gabe, wow, that's a lot of tabs, my poor dude. Can't even handle one tab in VS Code at the same time. You think? I think I've got several sets of tabs. This isn't all my tabs. So yeah, I can get up way more tabs. Trust me. But yeah. So we've got that. Let's see. We want to add a way to change that sun position. So we'll do like a IamGUI separator here just to separate this stuff out. And we'll say IamGUI drag vec3 or drag float 3. Label is sun position. And we'll have GLM value pointer to our sun position. And speed, I'll do like, we want this to be kind of fast. We'll try 3 and see how that feels. Minimum, we'll say is 45. Maximum, we'll say is like 80. That way we should have like a good range, I guess. Okay, and that should be it. So if we do that, and then we go back into here, we just want to make sure we upload that when we draw our cubes, which I think we call like dispatch draw calls. Yep. So then we'll just say cube shader to upload vec3 usun pose, and we'll say camera, or no, main panel, get sun pose. Okay, and that should allow us to change the sun position. And now let's build a pot. Little guy, we are building that pot now. Our sandwich didn't turn out too well either. So like once we get this fully working, we'll have to build a sandwich for sure. But that's probably a next week thing because I'm running out of steam here and we're going to have to stop pretty soon. So let's see if we go and do this. That's that. If we change the sun position, that should change the way that lighting is affecting it. You'll also notice too, that's weird. You'll notice it like gets darker as I move away. I believe that's because these are like semi-transparent. And so it's just that bleeding through, but I'm not quite sure. I should probably look into that. If we change this though, looks like that's way too fast, but it's definitely changing things. You can see like, that's good. Okay, so let's go ahead and fix that up very quickly. This should probably just be 1. And let's actually make this -45 is the min. And +45 is the max. Or maybe we'll do like 50. Okay, let's see. The build is done. Okay, let's see. Let's go ahead and do this. And cool. So now we can move stuff, move the sun around, like change the position. And you can kind of see like that sphere, which is where the sun is, kind of where the highlight gets set. So yeah, that should help when you're like actually building stuff. And then we can just say like 45, 45, 45 to get kind of that base. Cool. Let's build a pot real quick. So I think we should start with a circle, right? If we're building a pot. So if we go, okay, so that's like 5 on each side. We probably want like a little bit more there though, don't we? So how much? That's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Hey, thank you for following Natsu 130. We might change this up. I don't know. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I might have messed this side up too. Yeah, that's definitely wrong. Let's see. So if we're building a pot, I want to do like a circular top, right? Yeah, this should definitely be smaller. Let's do one more off each edge. Who knows? Maybe I can just release this tool as it is too. But then again, there's those things like Magica voxel and stuff, so I don't see people wanting to use this. If you guys do though, maybe I can release this and you guys can just sort of play around with it too. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to like go down. See, this is another tool that would be good to have, is like if I could say shoot down and then it just deletes all of these. So these are things we'll have to keep in mind and hopefully code as little features, because that would be cool. So almost there. Whoops. Keep going. I should probably be able to like toggle on and off those grids too, because that could be annoying. Okay, almost there. I know this is a cylinder right now, but I promise it will hopefully become a pot. Okay, fix that. Cool. Let's go over here now. It's too bad I can't save this stuff yet. We will have to add saving and loading as like the next thing. Let's move this a little bit too so that I can see a little bit better. That's better. Cool. I like being able to move that around. It doesn't help too much though. Let's go like there. That's better, I think. Yeah, there we go. Very slow going. So how's your guys' days going? Or end of day, I guess, for some of you. Just to completely rant in just a second. Hope that link doesn't show up. Definitely wants hotkeys. When pressing Control or Shift or some other key, it selects everything in the ray direction. That's a good idea. I need to write this stuff down. Put it in the Discord if you can, Langors. That would be cool so that I can remember to write that down after stream. Actually, I'm not going to make you do that. You don't need to do that. Let's do new Control Save Block Builder to-dos. We'll call that MD. So one of the to-dos, when pressing Control or Shift and deleting, delete everything in direction of normal. That's one thing. And we'll come up with more stuff. Where's the mod that told me to make Howard the Duck riding a T-Rex? That'd be funny. Sam, I'm implementing bullet physics in Aurora in just a simple box versus boxes getting stuck together. Oof. Yeah, with this type of game, I feel like it's definitely better to do your own physics, but I don't know. Physics is always a pain. So, pros and cons. So random story anyways, guys. In terms of my work life, this past couple weeks have been so hectic. Like, literally, I've been in meetings from like 8 to 5 every single day. And boy, am I sick of meetings. But I'm basically the feature owner on something that we're working as one of our products. And we work with AT&T. I think I can tell you guys this. This isn't like private information. But we basically work with AT&T and stuff. And we've been like implementing this new feature for them. And it's been such a pain working with them, let me tell you. So, yeah, my past 2 weeks have just been like 8 to 5 full-on meetings, and I am so glad it's the weekend, and I don't have to worry about that anymore. Let's move this over here. There we go. Okay. But yeah, take advantage of programming while you don't have to work while you can. If you're not working yet and you can just program, take advantage of the time you have, because it gets really hard to program in your off time once you're already programming 40 hours a week for work. Gabe, what does a star do in Markdown? It's a bullet point. So if we do like Control Shift B, Markdown Viewer. Nope. Markdown Preview. I think I have something in here. Is it this thing? Oh, there we go. Yeah. So it just adds a bullet point there. So you can see if I just do another one, bullet, and you can do like 1, 2, 3 for lists. Hey, thank you, Lane Gores, for the gifted sub to Voxel Riffs. That's pretty awesome. And art, checkbox with 2 sliders. Hayway, delete place. Oh, height. Wait, checkbox with 2 sliders. Delete place, build wall 1 block deep. You'll have to expand on that a little bit. But yeah, you can also do bullets with dashes. So dash or star. And then you can also do like underline. If that was like that, that gives it like a header and then something else. This should do an underline. It usually does. Or like a separator. Well, I guess this preview enhancer doesn't support it, but yeah. Oh, I guess it's just making it a header. Which usually, there we go. Okay, so now we're getting the separator. I guess you need it like separated. There we go. So that's a separator. Hashtag is different headings. So yeah, markdown stuff. Pretty cool. You can also do tables. I think if we do like something like that. This is why I like markdown too, by the way. So if we do something like that, and then that, A, B. Let's see if this will work. This is definitely a tangent too. I'm sorry. We'll get back to pot in a second. I just want to see if this works. Let's see. A. Usually that works, unless I'm missing something. Tables are terrible to type. They are. I thought that Markdown supported it though. Maybe it's only certain flavors, because different flavors of Markdown support different things. Sometimes you can do tables and it actually shows up as a table and stuff too. And then tilde to cross stuff out, which is cool. Well, I guess that only works there then. I guess that's not a Markdown thing either. But yeah. It's not equals. That's what I was doing wrong. Let's see. Control Z. They should support both, in my opinion. Just kidding. I don't care what they support. Okay, there we go. There we go. You're right. So you can see you can do the tables. I guess it's like that. And then if we do like, you can do that. And then you can format it a little bit nicer too. See, I don't like having to click to do something like that. And as long as I don't mess that up, you can do stuff like that and then do tables. Pretty cool. So yeah, that's Markdown, but that's not what we're doing. We're building a pot. And I did a horrible job over here. We'll fix this up in a minute. That looks pretty good. Not really, but you know, it's something. Okay, place block. That, I also think we should have hotkeys to switch between placing and breaking blocks and stuff. Okay, so that's that. What happened here? I don't know. I thought this was done. I guess not. Okay, I think I just broke some extra stuff there. Okay, so that's that. That doesn't look too bad. Let's go ahead and we'll say delete, increase our size to 2. Okay, so then we'll start carving out like the bottom. Right? We want to sort of do some stuff here. Because like we want it to be bowl shaped, right? I think. Something like that. So if we go ahead and just do that. This lighting is quite annoying too. I'm going to have to figure something out to get the light to like track you. So that it just automatically positions itself in the best place. So you can see what you're doing. Which would be nice. Is that a pot? Does that count? I guess we have to hollow out the inside too, don't we? Let's do this. Hollow out the inside. We're doing like a rough pot. Something that was made just very quickly. This is where it'd be nice to have that feature to like just go straight to the bottom too and stuff. Okay. Oh man, I should have just painted the top like blue or something to indicate water. Let's fix that. Let's go back and place block. This is something else I'll have to fix because we definitely don't want like... This would be horrible for performance if we were trying to place blocks shaped like this. So I'll have to create some like sensible limits for what can be considered a block. Let's do blue. Yeah, that looks kind of okay. Water, I guess. I don't know. I think we're going to have to switch this up to like an actual mesh builder too, because I don't like those interior faces showing. That way I can show it more representative of what it will be like once it gets in the actual game. So lots of things to do, but it's shaping up pretty good. Okay. I'm going to cheat, and we're going to say this is my pot, my very ugly pot. It kind of looks all right, right? Voxriffs, you could have preset positions in 8 corners for the light, or you can make the light always be at your position. I do like that. Let me write this stuff down. You guys are giving me good ideas. Okay, let's talk about this. So preset 8 positions for sunlight. The sun goes to the position that lights up the view angle the best. Okay, so we'll do that. Needs like a voxel fill something for the type inside. I agree on that too. Voxel fill tool to fill an empty 3-dimensional space. I like that idea too. Shaping up pretty good. Yeah, no pun intended. But it looks nice. Thank you. Let's see. Any other ideas real quick before we end the stream? So Control Shift for deleting to delete everything in the direction of the normal. Voxel fill tool, brush size for the painter. So we can increase that. Texture importer for different faces. And we also need a way to define faces for the cube. That way we can actually like split this stuff up and everything. Outlines on the block before placing. We kind of do have that. That might be nice to have like a little bit more, but it's like you can see that it kind of does show us like it's supposed to be kind of semi-transparent and stuff so that you can see where it's going to be and it doesn't like do things. I need to fix the blending because the blending is clearly broken, but yeah, just make this better. It should probably be yellow or something too. So let's do that. Block highlight should be transparent yellow and fix blending. Add viewer's name to the authors. Good suggestion. Maybe next time. Add prefabs. Prefabs would be cool. Yeah. Prefabs. So we can import smaller block type things. I do like that. So basically you could like create a prefab of like a 4x4 area and then you could start stamping that. So maybe prefabs / stamps. Serialization / deserialization, which we definitely need. Undo, redo. This is a lot of stuff, but I'm telling you, most of this stuff will go pretty quickly. It's just getting the ideas out there and then actually implementing them, making it feel good. That's the hard part. Like undo, redo is really not going to take that long. Custom file format? Yes. For the serialization, deserialization. And the custom file format is going to be in a format so that I can just go into the game and just like import the binary directly and it should just work. I'll have to do some like bounds checking and that type of stuff and like magic numbers and whatnot to make sure that's all going correctly. But yeah, that's the basic idea. Ambient occlusion in the block editor. This way we can add the ambient occlusion when we export and it should also help our viewing angles. So if we have ambient occlusion, maybe the sunlight position will be like a moot point because then we can actually see like the difference between these faces, even if we're like viewing it from down here and it's a little bit harder to tell, you know? So that's something that definitely needs to get added too. And deleting, let's change this to deleting / placing. Okay. I think that's a pretty good start. We'll I'll start working on this throughout the week. And then hopefully next week we can continue working on this and get it rounded out a bit more and then move on. But yeah. Thank you everybody for coming to the stream. I feel like it was a pretty good stream. We got a lot done. We have like our texture painter. We can place blocks and stuff. We can do all sorts of different things. This is rounding out pretty good. And hopefully I'll be able to use this to actually create blocks pretty soon. But yeah, thank you everybody for coming to the stream, and I'll see you next week if everything goes well at around the same time. Yep. See you guys.